Wikipedia describes Bob Lazar as an American conspiracy theorist and criminal. But what's the truth? Hey everyone, my name is Dave. Today we're going to look at the controversial Bob Lazar, the guy famous for his claims of back-engineering alien spacecraft at the infamous Area 51 government facility. Here he explains how his Corvette runs on, basically water, or more accurately, hydrogen. Lazar uses water as the source material. You run electricity through it, which breaks it down into hydrogen and oxygen, H2O. The car then uses the hydrogen as fuel. Lazar found a way to store hydrogen more efficiently using a compound called hydride. He stores the hydride tanks in the back of his car. Here we see how much volume it takes to store enough hydrogen to propel the Corvette 400 miles, about as far as a full tank of gasoline. Hydride is a lot safer than gasoline. You can shoot the tanks with bullets or cut them in half with a chainsaw, even throw a lit match on them, and they just smolder like a cigarette. You couldn't do that with gasoline. Only enough hydrogen is produced to run the car. As the tanks are heated, the hydrogen is released into the engine. This line sends power to the heater in the tank, which releases the hydrogen gas, which comes out of the hoses on the end. Here we see Lazar demonstrate the process of turning water into hydrogen. Bob uses a Hoffman Apparatus to separate the water into hydrogen and oxygen. You simply pour water into the top of the gadget. This definitely looks like something from my old high school science class. Shout out to Mr. Levy if you're watching this. Water is H2O, so when the bond is broken, we get twice as much hydrogen gas as oxygen. The next step is to connect the batteries. The positive side will create oxygen and the negative side will create the hydrogen. When the switch is flipped, bubbles immediately begin pouring up into the water. Lazar shows how the tubes both fill with gas extracted from the water. He then takes the hydrogen sample and demonstrates how it is indeed flammable. Just from water, we get an explosion. Next, Lazar shows a large industrial version of the Hoffman Apparatus. Same idea. You turn on the garden hose, and once the water starts flowing, it converts into hydrogen and oxygen. The hydrogen is captured and flows into the hydride tubes to power the car. Lazar powers his machine on solar energy. Since he lives in New Mexico, sunlight is readily available. It takes about 8 hours to fill the tanks. Some problems do exist with the prototype. Hydrogen burns with an invisible flame and it's odorless, meaning if a tank began leaking, the driver wouldn't even know. A hydrogen gas detector would be a possible solution. So why can't everyone do this? According to Lazar, the problem lies in the hydride itself. Hydride is classified as weapon material. It can only be used in thermonuclear weapons. The material itself is not dangerous, but since it's used in those weapons, it can't be used in any other civilian purposes. You can't even purchase it, which is why Lazar had to make it himself. According to law, you can make it, but you can't sell or buy it. Lazar had to also build his own particle accelerator in order to produce hydride. It's government regulation and obtuse laws that are preventing many inventors from tackling our energy crisis needs. So, is Bob Lazar a liar and a criminal? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe and hit the like button.